Hey everyone, welcome to Pearls of Eden. Today we are going to talk about it. We're going to get deep into these waters and we're going to talk about the political systems, religion, slavery. Why is it that they are trying to hide who the Negro is? Why? Why is it that when you speak about things and political positions that are not liberal, you automatically are designated, you're automatically branded as a house slave? But what if I tell you the real house slaves are the ones who don't know their history, so they fall for any and everything? What if I told you everything you ever thought was the opposite? So while you're so busy calling your people who are standing on the front lines sellouts, what if you were the real sellout? You know what I love about the scriptures? The scriptures say that he will make us wiser than our teachers, more understanding than the ancients. You know, there's so many people that are quick to pick up their stone because they think, oh my gosh, you know, how could they be doing this? They're not supporting their community? Yet they're so busy watching Love and Hip Hop. They're so busy watching The Bachelorette. They're so busy caught up in things that don't matter that they have no clue that they are being enslaved, and they love it. Oh, they love it. But they have the audacity to tell those who are standing in knowledge and truth, oh, you just a house ninja. But when you ask them to come up off of that plantation, that democratic plantation, and when you ask them to come into the knowledge, they say, oh no, we're too comfortable. No. Everything good. Master real good to us. But we, the ones that are trying to run off the plantation, the ones that are going into the knowledge and truth, the ones who are willing to stand in the front lines and be called a sold out and be called this to stand for truth. But you the one want to stay in the house, but we the house ninjas. Y'all, it's crazy, the irony of it all. But we are going to get into it today as much as I can. So, you know, I introduced you all to a map. I showed you all the map of Negro land, of West Africa, map from 1747, which can be found in the Library of Congress, right? We looked at that. And that cartographer on that map is the same cartographer of the 1771 map, where he removed Kingdom of Judah. Why would he do that? I mean, the 1747 map, the original one, has Kingdom of Judah, West Africa, Slave Coast. Why? Are we trying to hide something? I mean, I don't know. I am just here to present the facts to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll let you come to your own conclusion, right? Because we have to be able to think and come to our own conclusions, right? But I hope it's a good one. All right. So we're going to look at a book. I'm going to be referencing this book throughout this particular video session. A book called From Babylon. Oh, it's a good one. To Timbuktu by, I want to say, I can't remember who it's by, but I'll link it. Yeah, but it's From Babylon to Timbuktu. Randolph, I think is his name. Okay, but I'm going to link it. Anyway, in this book, he explains the bits and pieces of the transatlantic slave trade and how we were exploited and how we were scattered among the nations. He tells us and gives us insight into the people, the Kingdom of Judah, the royal priesthood, the royal tribe of Judah. See, these people were very affluent. They were very regal people. They were people of doctors and architects and mathematicians and scientists and artists and all of these wonderful things that make a very progressive society. They were migrators. They were nomads. They would go from here to here throughout the empire. Okay. And so they came upon a land of indigenous Africans where they settled, but they did not agree with one another because these tribes had different cultures. They may have been dark skinned, but they had different cultures. They didn't serve the same God. They didn't have the same morals. They didn't have the same principles. The royal house of Judah, the regal house of Judah, they had their commandments. They had their laws. They had their traditions. They knew who they were, and they were not willing to assimilate with this tribe, which you can only imagine causes issues, right? And this is explained on page 85 and 90 of Babylon, From Babylon to Timbuktu. So you can check it out and make notes. So anyways, they wanted them out of their territory because, see, they had encroached on their territory. And so when the opportunity came from the Islam to sell these people as slaves, they jumped on the bandwagon for the money. Okay. And so the Islam groups, they were a part of it. The indigenous Africans were a part of the slave trade, and the Ashkenazi Jews, which we'll get into later. Okay. Because they have a very big role to play in it all. But a lot of people say, oh, the Europeans, they're the ones that sold us. The white man came and got us. End of story. No, ma'am. There were a lot of hands to play in this whole process. Okay. The Ashkenazi Jews. Let's take a look at that definition. The Ashkenazi Jews descended from the medieval Jewish communities of the Rhineland to the west of Germany, comprised of those who live in Central and Eastern Europe, Germany, Poland, Russia. Not what you think of when you think about the house of Judah and Jews. You just you don't see them as Jews, right? But this is who they are. You can find it in the Oxford Dictionary. This is why you got to study to show yourself approved. Because many, when you say Ashkenazi Jews, they don't even know where they're from or who they are. They just assume, okay, they say they're the Jews, so they must be the Jews, right? I'll let you come to that conclusion for yourself. I'm just here to present facts. So the Ashkenazi Jews are sons of Gomer. Okay, they are not Yehudim. They are Japheths. Again, you can look this up because they are not of the house of Shemite. So why does that make a difference? Because the scriptures say that there will be those who will be dwelling in the tents of Shemite. Okay, the Shemites, dwelling in those tents, but they are not. The scriptures also tell us in Revelation 2:9, that there are people that say that they are Jews, but they are blaspheme because they're truly of the house of Satan. That's scripture. You'll have to decide. So again, what does this have to do? Because all of these groups have their hand in selling the regal house of Judah into slavery, and then therefore they were scattered among the nations, right? This is very interesting. Why is all of this important? Because we have the rebranding of so many things. We have the rebranding of colonialism to globalism. But how many of you know it's the same thing? The globalists are seeking still to this day to enslave people under their own agenda. This is why it's so important to wake up from the matrix and understand what is going on. What is it that they're feeding you and trying to sell you? Black Americans, right? They have renamed and rebranded us so many times, but we have allowed it. You say, how? Well, they changed their name from colored, and then they said, instead of colored, let's call the colored people Negro. Now, Negro was probably one of the best terms because that actually tied us back to our land, Negro land, right? Then they said, oh, no. Let's change that. We will call you Black. Yeah, Black. That sounds good, right? And so then they said, no. Let's not call him Black. African American is more fitting. Yes, that's what we did. And who was a part of renaming us? The Democratic Party? Maybe having a part of all of that? Just saying. So we allow ourselves to be renamed over and over again. Why? Why this group of people? Why are we having to be rebranded and renamed? No one else, right? This happens to no other group, right? And you have to ask yourself, what are they trying to hide? Why do we redraw the maps? Why do we take names off of maps? Why? So the Ashkenazi Jews, we've been hearing that a lot lately, right? Telling us about, oh, the Ashkenazi, these are the people that run Hollywood. These are the people that run the entertainment industry. These are the people who decide Black culture. But if you say these things, they say, oh, you are what? Anti-Semitic. They even came up with their own definition. So you can't speak out, or you're going to get hit with all these kinds of fines and all of these kinds of things, as we see Kyrie Irving and Kanye West going through at this moment. And it's important for you to understand, because what they will do at the top, don't you know, it will trickle down to you, all right? So it's important that you don't go to sleep and that you understand what is happening, because it all affects you. It's all about you, child of God. Oh yeah, it's all about the Negro. A lot of things are tied to us. And I don't know if I'll get into that in that video, but you're very valuable. You're very important. All right. So politics, how does it connect? You know, if we understand and know who we are, and we know our value, and we know historical truths, we wouldn't vote the way we vote. But when you don't know better, you don't do better. But we'll get into that later. You know, Ulysses Grant, he expelled the Ashkenazi Jews from all of the southern states. Why would he do that? I mean, he totally expelled them according to historical truth. Facts. You can look it up. And it is said they were connected to so much slavery. They were connected to black market swindling. They were connected to so many shady activities that undermined the Confederacy's war efforts that he had to expel them. So this lets you know that there is nothing new under the sun. This is the same game that has been played for generations, for centuries. But you have to ask yourself, why aren't we allowed to speak on it? When I think about Hollywood, you think about who runs it, who is responsible for people like Beyonce, who is a Luciferian. Her agenda is to spread wickedness, and people don't know that. When you think about people like gangster rap, who they use to promote this culture, why is it? Why are powerful Ashkenazi Jews promoting this type of culture? What is it to be gained? Why would they do that? Again, why would the democratic re-educational system have our students learning about 16th and 17th century history but go no further? Why would they want to keep us in a box? Why would they only want us to learn about slavery? I mean, because we had a history before we actually arrived on ships. So why are the institutions, the educational systems around America? Why are our children only taught that history? Because it's strategic. Wake up. Wake up, people. But you have to decide that you want to know more, that you're willing to reach back and go further into the history to see who you are. Judah is a regal, beautiful people that serve Yahweh. Yes, they went astray, but God never forgot them. And yes, there were consequences. Deuteronomy 28, we've talked about that. But God is waking up his people. And though he chastised us, he never forgot about us. And you know, the sad thing about it is you have so many African Americans, I'll say that term, that have sold themselves out to be a part of Islam religion. Why? Why would you be a part of a religion that enslaved you? They were a part of enslaving you. Islam enslaved more people still to this current day than anyone. Why would you convert to a religion that enslaved you, but then say that Christianity is the white man's religion and you don't want anything to do with that, not understanding that before we came over in ships, we served Yahweh? It's very ironic, but I'm just here to give you something to think about. 11.5 to 14 million blacks in America arrived here because they were sold by Islam and not just Islam, and the Ashkenazi Jews. And to this day, they're still in bed together doing business. Yes, they are. But do you see the connection? And to be quite honest, they want to enslave us all. Right? But there is an agenda to hide your history, the Negroes' history, because they don't want to know you to know who you are. Because if you arise to who you are, it's a total game changer. But I'm here to tell you they can't stop it because it is prophetic. In the last hour, these things, it has to be revealed. Now, how does this connect to politics? Here we go. About to ruffle some feathers. But I know that there are going to be many that will awaken to the truth. I know that the light bulb is going off for many of you. So, the biggest irony. More Black Americans have been lost to the Democratic Party than any other group in the 20th century. Progressive Democratic parties, what are they responsible for? Are you ready? Sterilization. Sterilization of blacks. Democrats are responsible for the consecration of the largest openings of things like Planned Parenthood. Where can we find Planned Parenthood? And Black and brown communities all around America. Isn't that so lovely? They are killing Negros and the regal house of Judah, and nobody bats an eye. We just go and we check that Democratic box and we don't ask any questions, do we? Republicans, did you know that Republicans were the ones that abolished slavery? But did you know Democrats supported it? Facts. Republican gave blacks the votes. Democrats tried to keep blacks from voting. Facts. Republicans passed the 1964 Act. Who do you think opposed it? Ding, 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 ding. If you said Democrats, you're correct. First Black Republican was voted into Senate 1871. First Black Democratic elected to the U.S. Senate in 1999. Go Democrats. Well, it only took the Democrats about 128 years, so I'll go easy on them. All right, so I hope you're catching what I'm picking up or putting down, like the old folks say. It's time to wake up, people. The first 22 blacks elected to the U.S. House, guess what? They were all Republican. All civil rights legislation from 1865 to 1965 was passed over the objections of Democrats. The Democrats have stood in the way of civil rights for over 100 years. So now let's ask ourselves, why do the Negro, why do blacks, why do we vote Democratic? Why do we vote for people that insist on enslaving us? Still keeping us in slavery. Well, not me, but people are people. The more we talk about these things, we understand that there's nothing new under the sun. They just rebranded, they just changed the name, but same thing. All right, so all civil rights legislation from 1865 to 1965 was passed over the objections of Democrats. Every civil rights initiative for that 100 period from the Civil Rights Act of 1866 to the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments to the Civil Rights Act of 1875 was proposed and passed by Republicans. So how come we don't know this? Why come you can't see this on your local news? Why isn't this, something that you see on Instagram, TikTok from your favorite influencers, right? From the gatekeepers. Why don't they tell you all this stuff? I mean, they're quick to tell you about Black Lives Matter. They're quick to press their agenda and tell you to think this way and do this. The black gatekeepers that tell you all kinds of nonsense to keep you hyped up and divided against other races, especially around election season. That's when they really want to hype up the divisiveness and get you into your emotions and your feelings. It happens every election season. Just keep your eye out for it. Now, I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm just presenting you with the information. And I am so confident that you are smart enough to make a good choice the next time we vote. I just know you are. I have very, very strong confidence that you're picking up what I'm putting down. So let's talk about some famous men of God that were Republican and Christian. How about Dr. Martin Luther King? He was a Christian and he was Republican. Probably why they had to take him out, huh? He was making too many good changes, right? They always try to take the good ones out, right? Notice that when people been around forever and ever and they call themselves putting down the truth, like, I ain't gonna even say it, but they still around. Malcolm X, another good one, right? That they took out the game, right? Malcolm X was a Republican. Look at that. Come on. The Ku Klux Klan. Oh, yeah. Do you know? Now, people will try to fact check me on this and say, oh, no, that's not true. But, honey, I'm just going to leave it right here for you to decide. The Ku Klux Klan was formed after the Civil War as a military force serving the interest of the Democratic Party, formally to fight against Lincoln's party that had freed black slaves, and those black slaves were trying to vote. They were trying to be judges, vote, get governmental positions of influence, and more Democrats lynched black people from 1870 and 1900 than any other group in the whole history of the country. Ooh. Democrats were lynching blacks, but anyone that was enlightened and voted Republican, you call us sellouts. Who's the real house ninja? So again, you know, it's real interesting to see who is trying to enslave us and how they are all tied together. I'm just presenting information for you to think. To think outside of the box, people. To get off of that Democratic plantation field. Just maybe. But you vote your own conscience. You pray about it. Let the Lord lead you. Let him order your steps, right? The Bible says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. All right? Trying to think if there's anything else I want to share with you. But I think that's it. I just find it just so interesting how so many African Americans have converted to the very religion that enslaved them. Muhammad was of a tribe that was not of Judah, two different tribes. He was of the tribe of Quraysh. They served different gods. They had different cultures. And so as you study to show yourself approved, you're going to come into the knowledge and the understanding of these things and so much more. I did not even hit the tip of the iceberg. It is under 30 minutes. I'm not going to go over 30 minutes, right? There's so much I have to share with you. But I would implore you how important it is to study your Bible and to be able to read. Let me show you. I have so many books, you all. I love to read. I have books everywhere. And as people of God, we have to be educated. We cannot afford to be dumbed down by the systems. They are banking that all you do is watch TV, scroll TikTok all day long. TikTok is the worst app because it's so debauchery. There's so much debauchery. I will not support it. Out of all of the apps, TikTok is the worst. Look it up. You know, meanwhile, they give their children in China, TikTok, the company, they give them historical news. They give them historical facts. They put mathematics and science on their TikTok. And then we get the debauchery version. I don't think so. Not falling for that. The devices of Satan are crafty, but when we know what they are, we can avoid them, right? So that is today's history lesson. I mean, I could go so much deeper, but I think this is enough for today. I do want to talk to you about the different, I don't even know. No, I'll say that. I don't even want to get into it. I'll talk to you all about that another day. The different groupings, the blood types and all of that. But I pray that this video was enlightening and it gives you something to think about. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to present information. All right, guys, I love you. Remember, you are the head, not the tail, above only and never beneath.